Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into the Thursday mega episode of Talk Sports with Alec Pecino. Today on the show, I'm going to talk about WWE and college football. Let's get started. Here are my three favorite women's division superstars in WWE. Number 3 is Becky Lynch. The reason I like her is because no matter if she's a heel or a face, she's always over with the crowd. And she seems to get a loud pop. And I like the storyline she's in right now with Trish Stratus. And I've always liked Becky, even when she was a heel. And everybody did not like her at all. And I think she should be the next women's champion after Rhea Ripley. And Becky is right now. I like the way they're building up this storyline. I think Becky's gonna cost Trish the Money in the Bank contract at Money in the Bank, and that's gonna set up another match. And Becky ends up winning, and they end up moving her onto another storyline. Maybe it was like Zoe Stark or somebody else. And I can see Becky winning the women's title within the next 4 or 5 months and having another long reign as women's champion. And maybe creating a short-term faction with a couple of the new women on Monday Night Raw. Maybe a Candice LeRae or a person I'm going to talk about, a female wrestler I'm going to talk about later. Just a little cliffhanger tease. Now let's move on to my second favorite superstar, a women's superstar in WWE, Raquel Rodriguez. Formerly known as Raquel Gonzalez in NXT, but they changed her name on the main roster to Raquel Rodriguez. And I like the kind of storyline she's in right now, where she's a tag team competitor, but she's also a singles wrestler. I think she has a bright future in the women's division if they do her storytelling correct and her creative work and her creative. If they mess up her creative, then she's going to be another hint Nikki Cross, who I'm going to talk about later. The other reason I like Raquel Rodriguez is because she's over with the crowd, and that's a big key for me. If somebody's over with the crowd, I can get behind them. And for example, I'll give you a hint at one of my male superstars that I like. They're married to the first female wrestler I talked about a minute ago. And now we're going to move on to my number 1 favorite female women's wrestler in WWE. It is Zelina Vega. The reason I like Zelina Vega is because they put her. I like how they built it up. They reformed LWO with her, Santos Escobar, Joaquin Wilde, and Cruz del Toro. And now she's getting a push, and she's in Money in the Bank. I hope she wins Money in the Bank, but I don't think she will. I think it's going to be somebody else that wins Money in the Bank. And that's all I have to say on that. My 3 favorite male superstars in WWE. Number 3 is Butch, or as we know him from NXT, Pete Dunne. I like how, I'll give you an example of why I like him. I was watching Raw the other day, and they had all the Money in the Bank participants come out and explain and talk about why Logan Paul should not be in the Money in the Bank. And Pete Dunne comes out. He doesn't have a mic. He comes out and he gets in the ring and he punches Logan Paul in the face. And I can relate to Pete Dunne. I've always liked Pete Dunne, even when he was in NXT and NXT UK. And I can see the similarities that I have to him. He had to work for everything in life, and I do too. And he's somebody I would look up to. And now on to number 2. My number 2 favorite men's superstar in WWE is Seth Rollins. Here's backstory. I liked Rollins when he was with the Shield, and then for a time period, I didn't like him because he stabbed his brothers in the back, which is Roman and Dean Ambrose, which I probably shouldn't talk about Dean because he's not in WWE anymore. He's now in AEW, but that's just the backstory. But once Seth came back the second time from injury, I started to kind of catch on again and like him. The only time I didn't like him is when he did his whole Messiah gimmick during the pandemic. I couldn't stand to watch him at that time because it was painful what they did with him. He was so over with the crowd, and then they turned him heel and made him go with the Messiah gimmick. And then you had the eye for an eye match with Rey Mysterio, one of my favorite WWE superstars of all time. And so is Seth. And I actually like Seth now. I like this whole gimmick he's doing. I like him as World Heavyweight Champion. I hope he doesn't lose the title anytime soon. But they need to give him a lengthy title run because he didn't get one the first time. They screwed him over and gave it to Brock. And that's another whole nother story for a whole nother day. But anyway, let's get to number 1. This is most people's favorite superstar right now, and it's mine. Number 1 for me is Sami Zayn. How can you not like the work that Sami Zayn's doing right now as a face? I loved him in the whole Bloodline storyline. It made it fun to watch because before he joined, it was boring. I couldn't stand watching two whole hours of SmackDown with Roman just sitting there blabbing his mouth at the Usos and Paul Heyman. And then you introduce Sami, and it's just like something clicked in my head. I'm like, okay, you know what? Now I can get behind the Bloodline storyline. And Sami made it feel extraordinary. He did a good job of storytelling of how Roman was using the Usos, using Solo. And I explained that in the Bloodline storyline video that I did a couple days ago. But Sami's still over with the crowd now that even though he's not with the Bloodline anymore. And I like how he's still, before the rosters were reset and they did the whole draft and they put the Bloodline on SmackDown. I liked how he would talk to Jay and tell Jay, oh, It's not you that's the problem. It's Roman. He's using you and manipulating you. And Sami's just over with the crowd. And I'm going to get to see that firsthand. I'm going to Raw next month in Tampa. And I'm going to get to see how over Sami Zayn is with the crowd. My next WWE topic is 3 guys I would turn face, 3 guys I would turn, 3 WWE superstars I would turn babyface. Number 3, Damien Priest. I think, in my honest opinion, I think he's stale as a heel. I think he did a really good storytelling in the Judgment Day, but I think it's coming to an end. And somehow at Money in the Bank, because he's in the Money in the Bank match, and I think Finn's going to cost him, and that's how the babyface run starts for Damien Priest, is Finn cost him the match. And then they set up a one-on-one match for another PLE down the line. And then you get Finn versus Damien, and Priest wins, and that's how you start his singles run as a babyface. I liked Damien Priest when he first came to the main roster, and he did his whole feud with The Miz and John Morrison, and you had Bad Bunny as part of the feud. It was a tag team match at WrestleMania, and I like how they slow played that up. I like Damien Priest. I just don't like where he is right now. I don't like him in the Judgment Day. I thought he should have been the one that got kicked out of the Judgment Day, not Edge. Because Edge is a Hall of Famer, and I'll talk about the Judgment Day in another video. Let's get to the number 2 person I would turn babyface in WWE. Number 2 is Nikki Cross, and there's many reasons I would turn her babyface. We don't know what she is right now. She's kind of between it. She's a heel and a face, but she seems lost because she doesn't have her faction with her. She doesn't have sanity. She doesn't have sanity with her, and it feels weird not seeing her with sanity, and she's not really getting TV time. And I feel like if you turn her babyface, she might get more TV time, and they might actually give her a chance to win a title, win the women's title or tag team titles again. That's another video that's another segment I will talk about in another video. And the number 1 person, WWE superstar, I would turn babyface. And this is obvious because it's already happened with his brothers. It's already happened with the Usos. I would turn Solo Sikoa babyface. For one reason, it makes sense because, like I just said, probably 2 seconds ago, is you've already turned the Usos you've already turned the Usos face, and it makes sense to do the same with Solo and have them just run roughshod. Well, the Usos run roughshod through the tag division, and Solo run roughshod through the singles division, and they can win all the titles. Well, Solo can win like the U.S. title, the Intercontinental title, and that's what I have to say on that. Now to part 2 of the show, the mega show. We are now going to talk about my preseason Big Ten rankings for the East Division of the Big Ten, along with 3 guys I think could be the front runner for Big Ten Quarterback of the Year. And here are my preseason Big Ten East standings predictions. Number 7 through number 1. Number 7, I have Indiana. And the reason I have them at number 7 is I don't think they're going to be very competitive this year. And I say this all the time. There's Indiana fans out there that'll heavily disagree with me, but this is my perspective. This is my opinion. Everybody has their own opinion. But I don't think Indiana is going to compete in the Big Ten this year. Number 6, Rutgers. The reason I have Rutgers and Indiana flipped is because I think Rutgers is going to be a little better than Indiana this year and win more games in the Big Ten. And that's all I have to say on that. Number 5, Michigan State. I think they're going to be in the top 5 of the final Big Ten East conference standings when that comes out at the end of the year for me, which will be after the conference championship. The reason I think they're going to be number 5 is because I think they're going to be more competitive than they were last year. And I think they'll win more games this year. I think they'll win 8 or 9 games. Maybe 10. Maybe they beat Ohio State. Maybe they don't. Number 4, I have Penn State. The reason I have Penn State at number 4 is because they have a new QB, and we don't know how good their new QB is going to be, Drew Aller. We don't know if he's going to be the next Sean Clifford or if he's going to be better than Sean Clifford, but that's why I have him here. Number 3, Michigan. I have them here because I think they're going to be one of the final top 3 teams in the Big Ten East with either 10 or 11 wins and 1 or 2 losses. And one of those 2 losses may be to one of the teams that's in front of them. And they do have a returning quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, which he played really well last year. He carved up Ohio State. I'll admit it. He made our defense look like a high school defense. And that's coming from a loyal Ohio State fan. At number 2 in my preseason Big Ten rankings, I have Maryland. The reason I have Maryland here is because I think they're going to be a little bit better than Michigan. I think Maryland's going to finish second and have 11 wins and maybe be runner-up in the Big Ten East to my number 1 team, which I will reveal now. Number 1 in the Big Ten East, I have Ohio State. I think they win the Big Ten East and represent the Big Ten East in the conference championship game and probably win the Big Ten. And the last topic I'm talking about on the show today is my 3 preseason Big Ten QB of the Year predictions. Number 3, I have J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, and I think he's number 3 because there's 2 guys that I think that are going to be better than him, but he's going to compete the whole year for this award, in my opinion. And I think, like I said in my rankings, I think Michigan's going to finish 3rd. But if he plays out of his mind, they could win the Big Ten again and represent the Big Ten East in the conference championship game. The number 2 QB I have for my preseason Big Ten QB of the Year is Taulia Tagovailoa from Maryland. The reason I have Taulia at number 2 is because I think he's going to be. I saw improvements last year from him with decently good receivers, but I think he's going to do a lot better this year, and he's going to finish top 2, maybe in my final rankings for Big Ten QB of the year. And then my number 1 preseason Big Ten QB of the year is Kyle McCord. And the reason I have Kyle McCord here is because I think he's going to end up winning the starting job at Ohio State and be the QB1 and lead Ohio State to the national championship. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated.